Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Northbound Podcast. Today we're talking about trimming the fat, getting rid of unnecessary programs, processes, projects. Sometimes these are corporate initiatives. There are things that you want to get rid of in your organization, but you just having a hard time doing it. Sorry about my voice today. And that is normal. To have a hard time getting rid of things is totally normal. Every organization goes through it, and it's very, very difficult. In fact, it might be one of the most difficult things you face. I took over an organization a few years ago, took lead of it. And one of the things that I wanted to do was trim the unnecessary processes and projects that were taking place. And so I made a list of all of the projects and processes and programs and initiatives that we were doing as an organization. There's a big, long list, and I had help coming up with it because sometimes, here's the other thing you'll run into is you have no idea all the processes that are happening. And so it can be very difficult just to get that list. Believe me, we worked on that for a while. So once we got the list, there was a program that I wanted to remove. And I asked around, and the management team agreed. We need to get rid of this program. And so I called in the individual who ran that program. And I was in the Air Force, and so it was a sergeant. And the sergeant ran that program. And I called her in to the office, and she came in, and I said, hey, I would like to remove this program. I believe it is unnecessary. Our team believes it's unnecessary. But you're the one running the program. I want to know what you think. And she looked at me and she said, yeah, it's completely unnecessary. We don't need to do this, but I don't want to get rid of it. And I said, okay, if it's unnecessary, why? Why do you not want to get rid of it? And she said, well, I put a ton of work into it. And then she proceeded to show me what she had done. Now, let me tell you what. She was killing it. She had built a binder with nobody in this organization had ever put this kind of work into this program. They were just barely getting by. Like they were just doing the bare minimum. Not her. She built a binder that explained how to run the program with perfectly, okay? How to meet all the requirements of that program. And then she had built pass-on logs for the next person so that when they pick it up, they know what to do. This, my friends, is why it's so hard to get rid of programs. Because I wanted, before she walked in that room, I wanted to get rid of that thing so bad. And then she's sitting here in front of me telling me this, and I'm going, man, she's doing an awesome job. I still want to get rid of it, but I feel bad. I said, you know what? I feel bad. You've put incredible work into this. See, there is an emotional investment into some of these programs and processes that your organization is running. People have put time into it. There's pride in that. And then there's internal politics that get in the way too. But there's also a fear of risk. What if I need this program later? She put a ton of work into that. She had it all ready to go for the next person. What if down the road it's necessary? Do I want to stop doing this program and then we lose continuity on it? So maybe we just prefer to do nothing over the chance of being wrong and needing this program later. And then many programs are then tangled up with other systems, teams, or processes. And so you have to make sure that it's not going to derail something else. Something else that is needed isn't going to fall apart because you stop doing this program or process. Removing unnecessary processes requires intentional leadership, follow through, research, feedback, and you have to have a process for trimming that corporate fat. You've got to make sure that you're tracking everything, that you know all of your other programs, that you have a process for, maybe you could call it creating like a sunset process. So like you're reviewing it, you're revising it or cutting it, but you have a process for that. You have a process for getting rid of that program and seeing that to completion. You also have to be able to communicate clearly why you're getting rid of it and communicate any impacts. And then you need to assign ownership for getting rid of it, because there may be things that need to be tidied up, or someone needs to be notified or something to that effect. All right. So what happened in this situation? We got rid of the program, and ultimately the sergeant in charge of that program, she was on board with that. But here's the thing. This is what she showed us, myself and the management of the organization. She showed us that she was highly capable. And if she's putting that much work into something that's not really necessary, then it's time to give her something that is. And so we did. We gave her several other projects that she hit out of the park. And she went on to be promoted. She went on to do lots of awesome stuff. And she was in charge of many programs and processes and led teams that were all necessary for the mission. So I call that a success. And that's what I wanted to share today on the podcast, is that this can be hard. But don't let it stop you from cutting what needs to be cut. Just find the people that are giving it their all, and then cut stuff so that you can give them things to do that are more important, that are more valuable, and maybe in some cases that they're more passionate about. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in to another episode on the Northbound Podcast. And you're going to hear this again at the end, but I'd love to have you come join our community. Just go to go-northbound.com and please come join us. We'd love to have you. All right. See ya, everybody. You just listened to another episode from the Northbound Podcast. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope you were encouraged and empowered in leadership. Go lead boldly and humbly. And remember our vision: elevate your team through Christ-centered leadership. If you want to be a part of our community, just go to go-northbound.com and follow the link and come join us. Follow along with courses and live streams and chats, and maybe even join us for an adventure. We'd love to have you. All of those links are in the description below. Thank you again for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. See ya.